Hello, everybody. Welcome to my podcast. Today, we're going to talk about moving on. Moving on is quite hard after betrayal. We talked about rebuilding before, and that's actually before you start moving on, you have to sort of start rebuilding it, and then you sort of start moving on. Moving on means that you leave it behind. You've started rebuilding your life now with that person or without them, and you leave it behind. You let it go. You really have to let it go. You have to accept it happened to you. It was crap. It wrecked your life. It's happening to lots of other people all around you. You'll see it everywhere. And now you have deeper and more compassion around betrayal. It might have been your first really big betrayal, or could have been just something that was on top of all the other betrayals. If you've come out of any sort of abuse, which is basically betrayal, when people abuse you, that's betrayal, you will already have encountered abuse, and so you already would have had trust issues. So this would have just completely compounded that. Therefore, you've got to really be a bit gentle with yourself. You would have been already fragile around all these issues, and the fact that you trusted this person so implicitly would have made it much harder when they did betray you, because you'd already trusted whoever abused you, and now they've betrayed you, and now you've got that second scenario. But moving on is really learning how to let go of all the negative feelings that you had around it, let go of all the bitterness and the hate you have around it. It's needing to let those go now, because they're going to make you sick, and you're just not going to be good company, and it's going to alter your personality. So if you were a bright, bubbly, happy person, very loving and kind and open, you don't want to turn into a closed, nasty, bitter little thing. Don't let that person wreck you the rest of your life. They've already wrecked a fair bit of it already. So moving on is about stepping out and trusting again. You just trust first until they start doing something that you think you can't trust. Don't distrust first. You're going to put a big, I always see it with people. It's like a big net or a big cage over their heart. You can almost feel it or see it. It's like a block around their heart. You don't want to put a block around your heart. You need to move on, take the block off, move on in a place of love, and trust people first. And the thing is that when you trust people and you're a trusting person, it doesn't mean you're not aware of what's happening. You give them the benefit of the trust, and that way you'll actually attract more trusting people. You could say that you attract more dodgy people because you trust, but if you use your intuition and your gut, you will feel that. I always know when people are using me. I didn't used to realise before, but I've become more attuned to that, so I can figure it out. I don't have to say anything. I just decide what I'll do and what I won't do, what I'll give and what I won't give. Being used, I'm making a choice of my own. And I also know when I'm being manipulated. I can see it, and then I choose whether I want to do it or don't want to do it. But I still have that choice. And trust is the same. You can choose whether you trust people first and just watch and stand. So it's like two of you. One of you's in it, and the other one will stand out and be an observer. And that's the best way to move on. You don't move on not being clear about what people are like or not noticing things. You will notice things more. Because once you're being betrayed, then you saw how they lied to you or how they set it up. And when you were going through trying to get to find out what happened and they were lying to you, you now have more experience with someone who lies. You will be able to tell when people are lying to you. You just get this feeling around it now. It's like a gut feeling. And sometimes it's also their mannerisms. And I've said before, you might like to Google that, because there's quite a lot of information on signs when people are lying, that people in the police force or places like that where they need to interrogate people have looked at signs of people who are lying. So moving on is letting it go, trusting again, but watching all the time and observing the relationship and seeing where it's going. It's very important that you do that. Then you can move on. And also opening yourself up to going out with other people. Perhaps you do want to go online, and you could do that if you want to start dating again, or you do want to open yourself up to making new friends now, or extending your investment in some of the people in the family. If you've lost one of your family members through betrayal, you can always shore up the sides and become to know the rest of your family and invest more time with your family. It's very important also with business that you now decide whether you want to co-sign with somebody again or you want to work on your own. That's quite important for you. If you've been burned in a partnership, it might be a good place for you now to be as a sole owner or a sole trader. That way you work on your own, you have your own business. And I think that might be quite important for you to have complete control for a while at least, or several years, or complete control of all the business and all the monies, unless you can find someone who you can trust with that. I think that part's very, very important, because you can get financially burned and you can lose all your savings in your house if you choose the wrong person or are misled again. Remember that they betrayed you, they lied to you. That was their karma. You didn't lie to them. You were trustworthy and did all the right things. They lied to you. Betrayal is something that is done to you. And that's why you need to move ahead and move on. They'll have their lives now. They'll get their karma. And then you need to be open, though, to other people, because there are people who won't betray you. And you'll have relationships that are good and trustworthy. You've already probably got some of those. They're the ones you're telling your horrible story to, have been with you for the last few months or years, hearing it over and over again, and making you another cup of coffee or giving you another glass of wine. They're the ones whose couch you slept on. They're the ones that you can trust. I think the other thing to realise when you're moving on is that there are people who are trustworthy, and they always will be trustworthy. It's their nature. And then there's people who are in the middle. They can change. They can be trustworthy and non-trustworthy. They're a little bit like movers and the shakers in the middle there. And then there's people you can't really trust, and they're dodgy. And there's sort of three groups. Try and surround yourself, of course, with group one, the ones you can trust, and keep away from the other two groups for a while, especially while you're trying to move on. Moving on might also mean changing jobs. If it's been a business situation where you've lost out, maybe going back into mainstream for a while to shore up your bank account. If people want to help you financially, like your family and friends, to get you out of a mess, you can do that, because you just pay them back as you can. Don't be too independent. Let people help you. If people want to help you in terms of socially, if they want to invite you out more often, if they want to introduce you to new people, do that. Do not let the person or persons who betrayed you mess up the rest of your life, because they will still have power over you, and we don't want that to happen anymore. Don't let them take the power from you, the power to trust other people and the power to be happy again. You will feel like you made a mistake. It's the craziest thing. They betray you and you think you made a mistake because you chose them. No, they made the mistake because they broke their promise to you. It was a breach of trust. That's their mistake. It's all on them. And even though in many ways they always say this is rubbish, like, there's two sides to every story and it takes two to tango, that's all crap. Sometimes there's only one side to the story. One side, and that's it. One side to the story. And it doesn't matter how those other people go out and spin it to everybody else, in the end the truth will usually come out. You need not to be on your own a lot now. You can stay a bit on your own, to have a big cry, to feel miserable, to be angry and cranky. That's fine. But do not stay on your own too much. Force yourself to go out a little bit more. Maybe go to that barbecue you don't want to go to. Maybe go to the party you didn't want to go to. Go to your mum and dad's, even though you didn't really feel like mum and dad tonight. Go there for dinner. And when people are trying to help you, really acknowledge what they're trying to do. When they're trying to be kind to you and invite you out and do things for you because you're hurting, you acknowledge them and you thank them and you give them a big hug and maybe take them a big bunch of flowers. It goes both ways. Because remember, you're not the only one suffering here. You are suffering, but so are your family are suffering watching you, and your friends are suffering watching you. So you also need to move on for them so that they can feel that, you're not going to, like, never get over this. You have to get over it for yourself, of course, but you also have to get over it for the other people who are taking care of you. So start moving on. Start doing different things. Maybe join a couple of clubs if you want to. Remember, if you don't like it, you just leave. I went after my husband died. I went to all these clubs, and I just kept going home and saying to my son, "Well, I tried, but they're just not my sort of people, or that didn't work out, or whatever. But at least I tried, you know." And that's what I want you to do. I want you to start forcing yourself to try and to go out and to think positively. Do not see the world in with your black glasses. See them with your bright, shiny glasses. The world is a beautiful place, and very many beautiful, loving, and kind and trustworthy people out there. And send that message out that you want to meet people you can trust and good people, and you want to attract that in your life now. You want to attract those people, and you want to have that your radar is up. So when the dodgy ones come in, you know straight away. So moving on, moving on, moving on. So you're rebuilding. You've released already, I hope, and you keep doing that, by the way. And there will be moments when it all comes up again. You haven't gone backwards. It's another layer of all that pain and agony from it, and disappointment. There's so much disappointment because of what it could have been. Because when they betray you, they actually wreck your future too, and all the hopes and the dreams you have, they just all kind of go down the toilet, don't they, really? But then you can start again, rebuild your life, and move on. And there's many people out there who are wonderful, so keep positive, all right? Keep positive. You want to not let this stop you from being happy, basically, because you were happy with that person for a while, obviously, and with those relationships. So it means you can be happy again. And actually, I've noticed that the quality of my friendships, particularly, have just got greater and greater, and they're more nourishing. And I'm with people who I really trust and who are more caring than I've ever had in my life. So all my betrayals have led me to better people, actually, and better relationships. And I'm hoping that the same will be for you. So move on, move out, and trust people, and start to live your life again. Start to be happy again, and try and find happiness in as many places as you can. So I'm sending you lots of love and lots of healing this week. And I'm hoping that you can start moving on, even if it's little by little, bit by bit. Remember, every step takes us a little bit further away from what happened. That's what I wanted to say to you this week. And it's really hard, but I've done it, so you can do it too.